Yo guys, and welcome back to another video, and welcome back to another Doctor Who video. And in today's video we're going to be basically reviewing Joy to the World, the 2024 Doctor Who Christmas special. Now, I've done a first thoughts video directly after I watched the episode, pretty much, on the Christmas night, and I basically just pressed record on a camera and blurted out all of my thoughts in my head at that current time. But now it is a day later and I have basically sat down, thought about the episode, let it brew in my mind, and yeah, now I'm going to be making an official review on this episode. I'm going to go over all the things I liked, all the stuff that I thought didn't really work as well with this episode. The more I'm thinking about this episode, the more faults you can pick in an episode. Obviously, I was really excited about the episode. It's Christmas, you know, Christmas, exciting, I know, very cool. And you also get Doctor Who Christmas Day, that builds extra excitement. But after a day, 24 hours to sit and think about it, you do ultimately find faults in the episode. So I'm going to go over all of that kind of stuff in the episode, and yeah, so let's go over everything first. So let's start off with the characters themselves. Basically, my plan is for this video, I want to go over the characters themselves, explain what I think was good or bad about each of the characters, etc, etc. I will then go over the sets, the actual quality, the CGI, all of that kind of stuff, the music, etc. And then finally, I will do like a full sort of wrap-up review and basically all the bigger things, like the writing, etc. for the episode. So yeah, let's go in with the characters. So first of all, let's start off with Ncuti Gatwa as the 15th Doctor. I almost said 14 for some reason. I have no idea why. But yeah, 15th Doctor, Ncuti Gatwa. So, yeah, I think he performed very well in this episode. I think his acting was on point for this episode. I think it worked quite well. The only thing that I would say about Ncuti Gatwa is that he did cry a little. I think he cried like 3 or 4 times in this episode, which is very overkill. And yes, I do get that Ncuti Gatwa is supposed to be a more emotional Doctor and represent the more emotional side of the Doctor, but you kind of run the risk of, well, I say you kind of run the risk, you have run the risk of every single time you use this, essentially in every single episode, it becomes less and less impactful. So the fact we see the 14th Doctor, I'm saying the 15th Doctor crying in every single episode, it really desensitizes us to it as an audience. So when you get a big, empowering moment, which is supposed to be like huge stakes, you know, really emotional moment, it just won't hit the same because, well, we've been used to him crying so many times now. So, yeah, it just feels a little bit awkward, I suppose. But yeah, I think apart from the continuous streak of crying, I think he handled the rest of it very well. We also have the character Joy, played by somebody who I can't fully think of the name right now, but yeah, we have the character Joy, so I'm going to just refer to her in this case as Joy at this point. So yeah, basically, we have that character. I think she was alright. I wouldn't say she was the most memorable character. She definitely isn't anywhere near as memorable as like River Song or, you know, like Craig even, as like a one-off character, or like even the Paternoster Gang or Strax or any of them really. So like, yeah, I do think that her character was decent, and I didn't like, I enjoyed her presence on screen. I think she She played into the character well. She acted in the role very, very well. But I don't think that she was as impactful to me personally as any of the other sort of more one-off characters that you wouldn't class as official companions. So yeah, I also don't think she got enough screen time in the episode, considering she was kind of like a main character in this episode. I mean, she was all over the promo material, so I was under the impression that she was supposed to be kind of like the Doctor's right-hand woman for this episode, and that they were going to essentially take the centre stage for the majority of this episode, which, yeah, it did happen for a good portion, but then you've also got, like, the middle part of the episode where the Doctor is not able to see Joy and is kind of away from her, so that does take away a quite big portion of screen time from Joy, which obviously does impact the character, and probably is another reason why she just doesn't feel as memorable or significant as, say, you know, River Song, etc., etc. You kind of get the point. So yeah, that's kind of like Joy. And then there isn't really any other significant main characters. You could argue that the woman that the Doctor does stay with, again, can't fully bring up the name right now in my head. Please forgive me, it is Christmas and then Boxing Day. A lot has been happening. But yeah, basically the woman who stayed with the Doctor for that year. Again, not memorable, but she did a good job. The Silurian, very, very nice to see the Silurians again. Or Silurians, same sort of thing. But yeah, basically, very, very nice to see them again. And also, nice to see them not as, like, the main villain. Like, I love how they were kind of, you know, you got the Silurian as not a main villain. Silurian's not a threat. And speaking of a threat, this episode did not have a threat in it. And while this was very, very interesting on the first run, and genuinely I thought it was quite an interesting concept for a good while, until I thought, oh wait, I'm going to probably rewatch this. And although it's a really, really good idea to have this non-threatening thing that you think is threatening up until the last moment when you realise, oh, it's not actually that much of a threat, that kind of becomes a bit useless on the rewatches and kind of ruins the rewatchability of this episode. And so I can explain what I mean. Essentially, you already know that this star inside of this briefcase is absolutely no threat. You kind of know what's inside of it already, that it's absolutely no threat. And all of them times where it is made up to be this really, really big threat, it just isn't. So it really takes away from the seriousness of a lot of the briefcase scenes, which were supposed to be very, very serious, tense moments. You know, for example, how, you know, Joy gets the briefcase attached to her wrist, and essentially, you know, she's got to get it off, like, this is going to be, like, a big thing. That kind of, you know, that kind of just takes away from that a little bit. And although I think it was ultimately a nicely written episode, and I did like a lot of the stuff about it, I've got to say that, for me, is kind of the reason why, like, you know, you've got episodes like, you know, like, there's definitely other episodes where there isn't really a threat, and them episodes tend to be the more poorly received episodes for the same reasons in which I'm saying this episode. And it is a Christmas special, so it's kind of got to, you know, you've got to kind of utilise that television spot and make it very rewatchable, because it's a Christmas special. This is where you're going to get most of your viewership from. So, yeah, it's kind of an interesting one. Up on to the next topic of conversation, the sets, the CGI, all of that kind of stuff. Yeah, I think all of this set work for this episode was very, very good. I particularly liked the dinosaur scene in which they had the set on a platform which tilted. I really, really liked that use of something slightly different, and also the dinosaur was perfectly nice CGI as well. The CGI budget on this episode was really, really well handled. You can tell that in like the train scenes, all of the scenes with the big buildings and the holograms, they all look really, really nice, and you can see that Disney Plus budget coming into play here when you kind of see all of these kind of things. So yeah, very, very good overall, and I would really, really rate it as up there with some of the best CGI of the series so far. So yeah, very, very cool in that sort of sense. And then finally, let's get on to the writing sense of thing. Yeah, I think this episode was well written for the episode, but it didn't really take into account the rewatchability of this. I think the more you rewatch it, the less interested you become in this episode. And this is not really any fault of, say, Ncuti or anything like that. And I don't even think it's particularly like a Stephen Moffat problem, as Stephen Moffat does make some of the best Christmas specials that Doctor Who has ever seen. I really, really enjoy his Christmas specials. You know, they have a great mix of different elements of Doctor Who, but this one, I feel like it was a little bit experimental with the whole non-threat kind of thing. You know, you've got the briefcase, which it really isn't kind of that much of a threat. And yeah, I think that, yeah, although I would love to rewatch this episode a couple of times, and I did thoroughly enjoy watching this episode, it's definitely not going to be one of the episodes that I'm going to rewatch like a bunch of times. Kind of like how I thought. But yeah, I do think it was a little bit better of a Christmas special, although it's kind of like on a similar, like, I'm thinking back to like the Church of Ruby Road, and that was a different Christmas special entirely. There's quite a lot of differences between these two Christmas specials, and I'm thinking which one that I kind of prefer. And I do like the excitement and the fun that Moffat wrote into this Christmas special, and I may just like it a little bit more than the Church on Ruby Road. I definitely don't think it's the strongest Doctor Who episode which came out, but it's definitely not the weakest of the episodes. So very, very cool about that. And then yeah, so basically, I also like the little spin at the end where there's a little nod to the Nativity and like the whole Bethlehem kind of thing, which I think it's a really nice little nod. I think it's nice to kind of remind people that Christmas is it technically is a religious holiday, and yeah, it's nice to remind that to people, I suppose, in an episode of Doctor Who. And I love how they do throw back to some of the, like, I do love how it had a different Christmassy feeling to it than some of the previous Christmas specials we've had. So yeah, that is very, very cool, and yeah, kind of my whole opinion on this Doctor Who Christmas special. But that is my opinions and thoughts on this Christmas special. What are yours? I would definitely love to know all of your guys, all of your people. Yeah, basically, drop all of your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. I'd be really, really interested to read and see what all of you guys thought of the episode as well. So yeah, comment down below what you thought on the episode. And whilst you're down there, also smash a like on this video if you want me to do more Doctor Who videos / reviews / all of that kind of stuff. I will be reviewing the entirety of Season 2 of Doctor Who when it comes out. The trailer looks insane. For that, I definitely need to make a video on the teaser trailer of that. So that will be coming very, very soon. But until then, thank you guys so much for watching. Please comment, like and subscribe. Hit that subscribe button right now for more content. And I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.